Hi everyone, I'm Nancy Blattner, the president of Fontbonne University, and I'm so happy to be back in St. Louis and be here on the campus. Looking forward to getting to know all of you. So this is a question that asks me, if I had to choose someone to play me in a movie, who would it be? I've been told that from a certain perspective and with the right haircut, Theresa May, the former British Prime Minister, and I resemble each other. And the first time I was told that, I wasn't exactly sure how to take that, but there is an uncanny resemblance. So I think it would be really cool if I were ever to have a movie made about myself, if she would agree to play me. You think that might happen? What is a memorable book that I've read recently? I think one of the most memorable books I've read is called Jesus, A Pilgrimage by James Martin, who's a Jesuit priest. And the reason why I was reading this book is that a friend of mine, Sister Kathleen Toot, and I are planning a trip to the Holy Land. Of course, that was put on hold with the pandemic. But this is a beautiful book that's been written from a theologian's perspective about the life of Jesus and where he lived. And it's connected to all of the passages in the gospel that talk about where he preached. And so it was a great preparation for a trip that's unfortunately going to have to be postponed, but it's good preparation for a trip in the future. This is a great question about where the best place I've traveled is located. And I've been very fortunate to travel a lot, both for work and personally. And I guess the place I love the best is Rome. It's a place that I've had the pleasure of teaching 3 classes there on the history of Catholicism and Christianity within the Dominican tradition, because that was the charism of Caldwell University, from where I've come. But I just love the antiquity of the city, and in fact, my husband and I celebrated a significant anniversary there last year, and we took our 3 adult children with us, and we renewed our vows in the Eternal City, and it's a very special place to me. Do I have any pets? I have had a boxer named Dash, first named because I'm an English professor and I thought that was just a cute use of the word dash, but then he really became a dasher where he ran every time the door was open. But we don't have pets right now because of our travel situation and having moved here from another state. So we'll see what happens. Maybe there is a future for a cute little puppy in the president's house on Wydown. We'll see. Oh, my favorite sport to watch or play. Well, I have to admit, as I do to all students, I am the least athletic person on the campus of Fontbonne University. I have no athletic ability whatsoever. And I think the reason that's made me such a strong supporter of athletics. And so I love to watch our student athletes. But if I had to pick a favorite, it probably would either be volleyball or basketball. And maybe it's because those are sports that are played inside, and generally during a season when I have a little time at the end of the day or on the weekend to actually indulge my joy of watching sports. So this is an interesting question because some people may not know that I did live with the CSJs my last year at Fontbonne before I moved to New Jersey. And it was wonderful because the sisters were very welcoming to me. It was sort of the best of both worlds. I had sisters who wanted to enjoy dinner with me and who would offer to do my ironing. I never let them do that, by the way. But it was also, in addition to the sense of community that was there with the sisters, it was also a place where there was an opportunity for great solitude. I loved being able to visit the chapel on a regular basis because it was right there in the mother house, and also to just have some quiet time to start my day with prayer and meditation, and that was a real gift. So it was a really nice combination of community and an opportunity for solitary living as well. I have 2, so I have to pick one. What do I like to do when I'm not working? I like to walk in the neighborhood a couple miles a day and listen to Pandora music and just relax or to think. I really love to read, and I read absolutely everything from nonfiction to fiction, historical fiction, essays, and I really like to travel. And so it's been hard these last several months because travel has certainly been curtailed. But those are the things that I enjoy doing. I love spending time with my family, my husband, and our children, although none of them live here, our children, that is, in the St. Louis area, with one exception. I'm sorry, our one son does, but the other two are at a distance. So we get together when we can. Who are some of the people who've inspired me? I think the people who've inspired me the most are the people that I've lived with throughout my life, and I'd start with my parents. I talk about them a lot because they were people who had only an 8th grade education, and yet they gave me, I think, the 3 most valuable gifts that any person could have. One was a true desire for an education that they were absolutely certain I was going to have, and I think that wish for them was fulfilled. The second was that they desired for me to have a strong faith life. My parents were Catholic, as I am from birth, and I think that part of what's happened in both my personal and professional career is because of the faith that they instilled in me. And then the third great gift that they gave me was an incredibly strong work ethic. My parents are German by ancestry, and so hard work was just a part of their DNA, and they imparted that to me, and I've always been very grateful for those gifts. And then as I became an adult, while their influence was still strong, I think my husband Tim has been the person who's influenced me the most, because he was someone who really gave me confidence in myself and taught me to believe in going after my dreams, and was willing to leave our hometown of Cape Girardeau and move to live for 11 years in New Jersey, a place that he even rarely visited, but he believed in my ability to lead an institution. And so I would say he's really influenced my life in a very, very positive way. We're getting close to the end, not quite, but we're coming there. Okay, this is a great question about why I chose to come to Fontbonne. So many people probably remember that I was at Fontbonne as the Vice President for Academic Affairs and the Dean of the Faculty from 2004 to 2009. And I remember when I first came here, and one of the first formal ceremonies that happened was Catch the Fire, when the freshmen came for their orientation that August. And my husband, who was still living in Cape Girardeau, and I was here in St. Louis, so we were commuting, I remember calling him after that ceremony and saying, Tim, I have found the perfect marriage, and that was the word I used, between my personal beliefs and values and faith and my professional aspirations here at Fontbonne. It was my first opportunity to be in a Catholic institution of higher education, and I knew from that point on I never wanted to leave Catholic higher ed, and I've been very, very fortunate to have been in Catholic higher education now for over 16 years. So when the opportunity came almost a year ago now for me to entertain the thought of returning to Fontbonne as it was searching for its next president, it was very easy for me to want to come back here to the people and to the community that I really cherished, and it's been a very, very nice homecoming. Oh, what hidden talents do I have? Well, if I told you, then they wouldn't be hidden, but I don't mean to be coy. I think 2 things that maybe wouldn't be apparent would be, one, my husband says to me that I have the best memory of anyone he's ever encountered. And it's true that I can remember an awful lot, and sometimes irrelevant details about things that have happened long in the past. So I would say I have a very good memory. But I also think one of the talents that I have that's relevant to work is that I'm able to really envision things in a different way. And I would say that's important for 2 reasons. One, I can look at space and I can see it differently and being used for different purposes. So when I first went to Colwell University, where I was the president for 11 years, people asked me, what building are you going to build? And I said, I'm not going to build a single building. And they were shocked. I said, what I am going to do is I'm going to repurpose space that we have on the campus. And so every building there ultimately had space that was repurposed and utilized for a different need or a different utility. And I think that's a talent that I have. I also think that I can envision future and growth for institutions in a way that's important, and higher education is under a lot of stress right now, and so I'm hoping that as I become reacquainted with Fontbonne, I'll be able to use that hidden talent to help us build a vision for the future together. Just a couple more questions. What will I miss most about Caldwell? That's an easy one. Hands down, it's the people. I had an incredible support staff. I had wonderful colleagues who were on the president's cabinet that we worked together so well as the team. And mostly, I'm going to miss the students. The students were just great. As we were in lockdown and my husband had already moved back to St. Louis several weeks before I was able to join him, the students reached out to me and said, Dr. Blattner, we know you walk every day. Can we join you? And they took turns walking with me in the neighborhood. And I already knew these students, but I got to know them so much better, and they got to know me on a much different level as we walked for miles throughout the campus and the neighborhood. And that was just indicative of the students and their genuine care and concern for the community. So I'll miss that. Okay, what is one of my goals for the first 100 days? I think the first thing I want to do is to really reacquaint myself with the campus at Fontbonne, and I mean that in terms of both the people who are here as well as the physical space. So one of the things I'd like to do is to reconnect with the faculty and staff who were here when I was here 11 years ago, but also begin to meet the faculty and the staff who've joined the Fontbonne family since I left. And I'd also like to take a very close walking tour of the campus to see how the facilities have been utilized since I left, and to just look at all of the space that's available and begin to envision the future and how that space might be used. I think that with the leadership team, we need to begin to think about where Fontbonne is headed in the future. And I say this not only because we're, like every other institution of higher education, dealing with the impact of the coronavirus, but also because private higher education, Catholic higher education, I think is under siege throughout the United States. And we really need to find our place in that arena and determine how we want to be known to the students who come to us for an excellent education, as well as the faculty and staff who work here. And here's my last question. What is my favorite St. Louis spot? Hands down, it's Busch Stadium. We love the St. Louis Cardinals, and since I was a little girl living in Cape Girardeau and growing up, I've always rooted for the St. Louis Cardinals. That continued for the 11 years that we were in New Jersey. We saw them play when they came to Citi Field and played the Mets, and I think they played the Yankees for a series, and we saw them there as well in Yankee Stadium. And so we're really looking forward to when Major League Baseball reopens and allows spectators to be one of the first in Busch Stadium. Might not be this year, maybe it'll be next year, but it'll be something to look forward to. It's been my pleasure to talk with you and tell you a little bit about myself, and I look forward to finding out a lot about each one of you as faculty, staff, alumni, and students as I spend additional time on the Fontbonne campus.